Welcome to a discussion on session 5, where we are focusing on reflection. The overall concept for session 5 is writing and the disciplines and the process of reflective writing. What we want to do in this particular session is to consider the scope of the course. What have we learned? How have we approached it? What can we do with it going forward? This is important for every course you take, and it's going to have a different outcome each time. There are times when a course will feel that you have learned a whole lot, that you have really navigated it well, that it is something very, very useful. Other times it won't feel that way. Regardless, 20 years from now, you'll know which ones really stuck and which ones didn't. So at the moment, we're just taking our best shot at figuring that out. So the student objectives, the course objectives for this session, are to evaluate the influence of this course on your personal and professional life. We want to conclude how the concepts in this course are going to help you in your chosen discipline. And we want to keep writing in APA format, so it's another chance to write a 5-paragraph paper. We're going to do these different ideas in two ways. First, we're going to have a discussion, and then, as usual, that discussion is going to work its way into our submitted assignment, which is a paper. So our discussion has a series of questions. We want to start by saying, who are you? What are you focusing on? What sort of academic program are you focused on for this course? And how did you get there? Is it something that is part of why you have always done things, or is it a departure from how you have had jobs and adventures in the past? We've had a number of these discussions already, so you should be well and ready to go. Based on what you've learned in this course, identify one writing skill. So that's what we're going to talk about in a minute. How are we going to figure out something that we can take with us into our professional lives, into our academic lives, maybe even into our home lives? And specifically, we want to start thinking about how that's going to impact our major. We've already had some discussions on this where people have thought, oh, wait a minute, if I'm doing this with education, it's going to work this way. If I do this in terms of medical school, it's going to work another way. There are lots of different ways that these different aspects are going to affect us and our particular chosen path. There's also a great note here. If you haven't declared a major yet, which is perfectly fine, I am one of those who changed majors rather drastically, and I am very happy that I made that decision in life, but it is difficult and it takes a lot of convincing with people around you that you've made the right choice. So the most important part of this, that one skill that can be used in multiple areas. So again, this could be something academic, could be something in your workplace. Those may very well go together. It could even be at home. So I want you to think about this in the broad sense that it could be something technical, how you are approaching punctuation, how you understand grammar may have changed now, how you consider formatting styles and what the purpose of those are. Maybe it's organizational, it's how you are approaching resources, it's how you're approaching outlines. Maybe something like that has changed for you. It could even be a bit more conceptual, the understanding that you can use these building blocks to write all sorts of different types of writing to fit different purposes and to have different reasons. So any of those are possible. If you feel like you're a little bit stuck, that maybe you're on the right track, you're not really sure, don't hesitate to send me a message and I can help you out with that. Most likely you are on the right track, but getting that extra comfort of knowing you're on it is a big help, so don't hesitate to send me a message. Then we're going to take those ideas. So remember, we often use our discussions as a springboard into our assignments. So we started there in our discussion, but it's actually going to help us when we look to our paper. So there are a series of questions for the paper. Why do you think what you learned in this course was important? Maybe you didn't. What from this course will you take into your next courses? Maybe you don't think so. What concepts did you learn that could help you in your work or home or community? In what ways will the concepts you learned in this course benefit you in the discipline for which you are preparing, so in your career field? Looking at the biblical perspectives and how they might influence the way in which you use writing to communicate. So I want to talk about some of these ideas. We want to use these questions as a springboard because if we start to look at them, we realize that there are about 5 questions, and what we're going to end up with is a paragraph with a question and an answer, a question and an answer. But we're still using those building blocks of 5-paragraph papers. So I want you to think about those questions as the springboard into a workable 5-paragraph paper. How would I do that? Well, good thing you asked. My take on how to tackle it is to use those questions as a roadmap. Um, it's not so much that I'm looking at each one and supplying a specific answer as much as I'm saying, okay, I looked at these ideas and skills for my discussion board. Now, how can I turn this into my paper? Um, how can I use these ideas to really help me with where I'm going? What now with this material, with this concept, with where courses take me, with this trajectory they have us on? You'll notice that there's often a degree path, a degree plan with prerequisites. We want certain things to go in a certain order. There must be a reason for that. And that's what we're starting to look at. So look for three keys that you can use. Let's see what that would look like here. So we want things like our introduction with our thesis. We have three main points and we have a conclusion, the usual. But what could that thesis look like? Considering those questions, we could say the three most important lessons that I will take from this course are X, Y, and Z. Those may be responses to specific questions. Maybe it's something like the three key concepts that I will use in my courses, work and home, are X, Y, and Z, in which case X could apply to courses, Y could apply to work, and Z could apply to home. So kind of giving you a break in all of those. But we're looking at those questions and we're taking them apart. So over here, to go back to it, we could take a concept that we learned that could help us in our community and use that as one of those key processes. We could talk about one thing that we think is important from this class, and that could be something we use for courses. So look at each of these as springboards and play with them. And as always, use them as a chance to say, where do I think they wanted me to go and where did I actually go? Because we have a plan and a purpose with everything we put into every single course. And then I become the captain of that ship as I steer us through things and try to make sure that each one of you is gaining insights and growing. I never think of each course as simply a single objective. I think of it as a whole bunch of people coming together and me taking those objectives and parceling them out and helping each of you use them to your full advantage and really grow with them. So have fun exploring and reflecting and consider using that as a way to consider every course that you take.